Most of the time when people drop out of college, it's not because they're kicked out. It's because there's some sort of barrier to them continuing. That barrier might be financial, it might be family commitments, it might be that they've started a career and they decided they're just going to take a step back. But there's a variety of different things. And with my product, with Message, that's our text messaging platform within Modern Campus. We really focus on trying to help our customers get those stopouts back in. 98% of the texts that go out are seen within a few minutes. We get a pretty high response rate.
Welcome back to the State of Business Texting podcast, where we talk about all things messaging. My name's Caitlin Long, and I am the Senior Director of Product Management for Messaging here at Bandwidth, joined by my co-host, Zach Kunkel.
Hey, everyone. I am our Director of Solution Marketing here at Bandwidth, and I could not be more thrilled to welcome today's guest, which is
Charles Parsons. I'm going to steal your thunder there. He's our VP of Product for Modern Campus, and wanted to just call out, this is extra special because Modern Campus was one of our 2025 Textie Award winners. And so if you're new to Bandwidth or you didn't actually get to catch the Textie Awards, we give those to platforms doing really awesome, incredibly innovative things in messaging across the industries. So would love to hear a little bit more from you, Charles, directly just about, who Modern Campus is and just what you do and why you love it.
Sure. So Modern Campus is a company that's solely focused on higher education. So we have multiple SaaS products, all focused on higher education. We talk a lot about what we call the learner-to-earner life cycle. So that means that we have products that are all the way from late high school, getting into college, through the on-campus experience, into workforce development. So as you go into the workforce, what sort of continuing education that you want to do. And then, of course, we have alumni fundraising and things like that. So it really spans the entire gamut of higher education. And what got me excited is I started my career in higher education. I worked for a small private school in Madison, Wisconsin, and really always felt that the mission around higher education, the opportunity that's there, is really important and really inspiring for me. And so when the opportunity came to get back into higher education later on in my career, I sort of jumped at it. One of the things that I think that our products do really well is there's a traditional student, the traditional 4-year. I get out of college, I get out of high school, I go right into college. It's really normal. It's 18 to 22, and then go off, start my career. And then there's those that are just, that's not that path. And so our products really support both of those. But I think that we lean more into the non-traditional student because that is the majority of students these days. Not a whole lot are really doing that, normal 4-year journey. I think more of them are like I was. I did not start college directly out of high school. I went into started a career, and then when college opportunities sort of arose for me, I would take classes. I would drop out for a little while because, I had to go back to work, and then I would go back in and take classes. And it really was continuing that process until I finally finished.
And we were talking about this a little bit before the podcast, but I love the term. Y'all have been really intentional with the language and sort of the way in which you treat the dropouts. It's not actually dropping out, right? Like you have reframed it and call it stop out and really utilize messaging to encourage and facilitate the nurture process to getting those adult learners back into the program sort of really on their own time, which I think is really cool. I don't know if you could speak a little bit more to that specific use case.
Yeah, so the stopouts is sort of like an industry term that's replaced dropout over time. And it really is those that just stop coming back for whatever reason. Most of the time when people drop out of college, it's not because they're kicked out. It's because there's some sort of barrier to them continuing. That barrier might be financial, it might be family commitments, it might be that they've started a career and they decided they're just going to take a step back. But there's a variety of different things. And with my product, with Message, that's our text messaging platform within Modern Campus, we really focus on trying to help our customers get those stopouts back in. And so there's a lot of different ways to do that. And texting's been really effective because everybody has a phone. 98% of the texts that go out are seen within a few minutes. We get a pretty high response rate. And when it's written correctly, when the messaging that's going out is, I would say, personable and contextual to the people who are receiving it, they get a really great response rate, and people really engage with it. And so our platform does something that we call blended messaging. And blended messaging is sort of a combination of automation and then a one-to-one communication. And so it's messaging that goes out to everybody based off of whatever conditions it is. So, it's going out to stop outs that have been stopped out for more than a year, that are non-traditional, that are in the older bracket. They're going to get a specific message. And then once those messages come back in, the staff at our various different institutions start answering those questions, start engaging them one-to-one. So it becomes a conversation from there. And that's been really effective for most of the institutions that have been doing it. Those are really engaging. Those stop outs are the ones that are not, they're bucking the trend of decreasing enrollment within the industry right now.
Super interesting, Charles. So, I mean, to put it in my words, it seems like you guys at Modern Campus, you've taken basic messaging above and beyond. You were just talking about some of the applications of that, which is more personable messaging, probably starting with some sort of wide funnel. And then once there is engagement, getting it to the right person within that organization. And that kind of all ties back to the student retention use case, but also Modern Campus facilitates and helps on the fundraising side. So wanted to hear you talk maybe a little bit more about the fundraising aspect of the portfolio and how you're approaching your customers, which are these universities and institutions, create those smart SMS strategies.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar. I think that what people want from SMS messages is something that seems like it's not just robotic and not just mass, right? And so a lot of it is, how do you craft those initial messages and get those out? And for our institutions, we really do advise them on what those messages are. They may have a campaign that they've created, and they're going to bring that to us to help them, set it up. Maybe they want to do some automation around it that's particularly complex. That will get our team involved. And then we can give them advice on like, oh, hold on a second. This messaging is really going to, based on what we've seen across our entire platform, this sort of messaging is going to get you a negative response, or it's going to get you a lower engagement rate. Let's go ahead and recraft this a little bit. Around fundraising, the really big things for most institutions are giving days. So there's a couple throughout the year, depending on the institution. And so they really ramp up around that and then ramp back down afterwards, so that they don't feel like they're overwhelming people with too many text messages. It's really the alumni development teams that are doing this. And so what they're doing over the course of the year is trying to foster continued community with the institution, remind them of events that are coming up for alumni groups in their area, or, here homecoming is coming up. Do you remember how great it was? That sort of thing. And then, going into that fundraising is sort of more like a soft ask, where it's like more like, I wouldn't say it's quite this way, but it's more like asking a friend than it is like a big giant institution just being say, hey, give us money.
Sure.
Because give us money doesn't work anymore.
Yep.
I don't think, especially in the economy, the way that it's been for the last few years, people just don't have a whole lot of disposable income to throw at their alma mater. And so they want to know that it's going to be used well. And it's not just seems like, oh, hey, they're just asking everybody. And, I'm just one more faceless person in the mass.
Yeah, but messaging is that's the personalization aspect of it, and meeting
Absolutely.
people where they are. It's me as an alumni of UNC Chapel Hill, going out and to my classmates and talking to them from more of a peer-to-peer interaction standpoint, which is really interesting because it's what y'all have done is sort of taken the messaging channel and used it in known and established, I would say, use cases, but for an industry that I think this is newer for, which I think is really interesting.
I think education is always a little bit behind the eight ball when it comes to like pushing the edge of technology. And there's reasons for that. And they're, mostly good reasons. There are a lot of tried and true methods. But when I was going into college, it was all, reps coming to my high school and trying to convince you with like, here's a book of what our institution looks like. Here's a pamphlet, that sort of thing.
Right.
That doesn't work anymore, right? Like now that everything's digital, but even like those digital brochures, even websites, like those require people to go to them where text messages really get to where people already are at, and then bring them to that information. And what it does is like students and prospects don't know what they don't know, right? So it's like that text messaging goes out there and nudges them along and says, hey, here's some stuff that you may not have known. Here's how you get over these hurdles. Let's go ahead and get you into the institution, whether that is a brand new student, brand new prospect, or whether that is somebody who's been stopping out. It really is something that higher education has embraced over the last 5 or 6 years. And I think that they saw the value of it. They saw the power of it during COVID when everything suddenly went online and everything like everybody disappeared. It was like, hey, texting's really working for us to getting to people. And they were getting really high response rates during that period because that was the only real method that was working. And now that things have settled down, it's not really the only method, but it is still like a number one thing that institutions are using to engage their students.
So Charles, super interesting. Also, just want to point out, close to home example for me, I went to the better school in the area.
Keep that shirt.
I went to NC State University, go Pack, and pretty cool that you guys power a lot of NC State's development team or fundraising team, and how they are engaging with young alumni, older alumni across the spectrum, across a number of campaigns for them, whether it's Day of Giving or just continual engagement of their alumni base and how are they keeping people warm, quote unquote, so that when the ask is given, it does feel more like a friend, if to use your words. So no real question there. Just want to say thank you for powering the pack, and yeah, just excited about it.
Well, as a proud alumni, you'll also like to hear that it's not just the alumni group that's using texting on NC State. So they've been a customer for a long time, and they're doing a bunch of stuff across campus. And we're really proud to see what they have done. Like they've really pushed the envelope forward.
I'm going to pivot us a little bit because I am interested in y'all's personal experience, both you personally and then also just Modern Campus as a whole, on as you have pushed the messaging use case across your platform and products, where are you seeing areas of opportunity for the industry? Because this podcast is just as much for businesses as it is sort of just for the industry as a whole. And if you could shine a spotlight on something right now in the messaging industry specifically, what would it be?
I think the thing that our customers are getting excited about, and this is one of the few areas where they do want to like look forward, is the wider adoption of RCS coming in the future. Not just because a lot of them want to be able to send out a text message that's properly branded, where it's like, hey, this is coming from NC State and it's really clear, but also just sort of the features that are in there so that they can effectively, the way I think about it is creating little mini bots to be able to, ask questions and push people down the right path. They can already do that with our platform, where you can ask a question and based on the response, they'll go down a different path, but being able to control that a little bit more. We have a number of customers that are just itching to get their hands on it, constantly asking you, when's this going to be available? When's this going to be available? And I'm always telling, like, I used to be able to tell them, hey, when Apple says okay, but now that Apple said okay, I'm like, as soon as we get it complete on our roadmap.
And just again, to your point, more accessible interactions and meeting customers where they are. So it is exciting.
Yeah. And for our customers, they don't have large staffs. It's like, okay, like, and they seem to be shrinking every year. There's always budget pressure, and it's like, okay, well, where do we really need to be putting our dollars? And a lot of that is in the communication side of things. It's like, well, how can we do something at scale? SMS at scale is difficult if you're trying to do two-way communication. And what we try to do with our platform is get all those frequently asked questions off of their plate by being able to answer those and have that pre-programmed. And I think the way that RCS is set up is to be able to do the same sort of thing. Like you said, taking the burden off the call center. It is let the computers handle all the stuff the computers are good at, and then let the humans, step in and take care of the stuff that's more complicated, more nuanced. And I think that's one of the things that at least I'm excited about, because it's the more we can allow customers to do these things at scale, the more likely they are to widely adopt, SMS and, well, selfishly widely adopt our platform, and make, hopefully make them and us successful.
Obviously. Mutually beneficial relationship.
Exactly.
What is the best text that you've received? Maybe it was that business that is escaping
No, it really
you,
wasn't.
but-
It was not that business. I'll be sappy. My wife is out in California for a couple weeks, dealing with some family stuff. And so the texts I get from her are probably the best ones. Sometimes it's just some sort of funny video or some sort of meme, but it's also, important connections like "Good night, I love you." And so those are the best things right now for me. Business texts, we get those. Actually, when you talk about like things that are happening in the industry right now, I'm getting less spam from texts now than I ever have. And I think that's largely in part due to the sort of changes with A2P, making people verify things. And so now it's like when businesses text me, I usually know that's because I signed up for it, which is great.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's what we love to hear.
That
That's
is,
really
yeah.
that's the whole intention behind the best practices and the registration frameworks that have popped up. But as all of those that have been intimately involved with the rollout know, it has not necessarily been smooth sailing. So when we get to the point where it's anecdotally everyone is experiencing less spam, less fraud. I mean, that is the goal. That is the nirvana that we're trying to get to.
And for providers like us, it's as soon as the froth sort of settles, right? There have been a lot of changes on what the requirements are, and it seems like it's settled down now. So now we know exactly what to tell our customers. And a lot of it is, this has been best practice for a long time. Now you just are forced to make sure that you can prove you're doing it, right? Like none of it is surprising. It's just for our customers, like, oh, we have to show our work. It's like, yes, you're a higher education institution. You ask everyone else to show their work. Now you have to show yours. But
KYC.
it just settle down.
This has been an awesome discussion, Charles. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. If people do want to reach out and learn a little bit more about you or just connect, where would they do that?
They can find me on LinkedIn. That's probably the easiest thing. So just search for Charles Parsons Modern Campus. I'm the only one that's going to come up. There's no other Charles Parsons here. And if they're interested in more about Modern Campus, check out our website, moderncampus.com. We have a lot of good material on there, a lot of good case studies if you want to see who's been successful and why they've been successful in our industry.
Thanks again, Charles. I appreciate it. And again, congrats on being a Textie Award winner. We appreciate Modern Campus and your guys' partnership. And thanks for doing what you're doing for universities across the nation.
Thank you. We're very proud of getting that award. So it's sitting right over there in front of me.
Love it.
That's awesome.
And thanks to our listeners for tuning in. You can always catch up on our interviews on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to check out bandwidth.com/texties if you want to watch the Textie Awards show replay and learn more about this year's winners in addition to Modern Campus. Don't forget, your free copy of the latest State of Messaging report is waiting for you at stateofmessaging.com. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, y'all.
See y'all.